Okay, before anyone asks, we did reach out to the terrific Tim from Egg Chasers, but he's chasing more than the sun this week. He's been a busy boy in Johannesburg, Ellis Park, and because of the delay in the teams, we couldn't get Tim on this time, but we will definitely make contact with him closer to the 2027 World Cup final.
Somebody else poached him. His cell phone signal was scrambled, mate.
Listen, did you fart at 5 minutes 46 seconds?
Of course I farted.
That's what everyone wants
You
to
said,
know.
do you want the spicy mints? I said, yes. That's the consequence.
Give us the raw.
I might just do the fart, mate.
Listen here, bro.
Yes.
You could be Marco van Staden. Oh, that guy was picked last week and then told he was out. This week, he was bracketed again and then told he was out. And so you had an Earman who didn't train, then trained and kind of obviously played particularly well. And then you had Sia, who's had his nose rearranged, a very familiar Kwagga type look. And
Kwagga Kolisi.
Kwagga Kolisi, yeah, and he was bracketed with Marco van Staden, and Marco hasn't made the cut again. I mean, to be that close and not play. I really thought he would play this weekend. I thought we would maybe go 7-1 again. I would have loved that. 6-2 conservative. But I think Rassie's thinking, we did you 7-1, we've done you 6-2, and we'll do you the traditional 5-3 way. And then all that's left is an 8-0. Because he's now picked a subs bench that is not the bomb squad. It's a traditional bench. And he's allowed New Zealand to do the same. And no one can complain when we win. And the we be in South Africa, because our bomb squad didn't go on. We just put traditional forward replacements on, and they'll probably complain that we put the whole front row on at the same time as well.
I love the squad. I think it's a great selection. It's probably the squad that I would have picked last week. Like I keep saying, I'd like to see Grant on the high felt dry pitch, but I suppose nowadays with the semi-synthetic pitches that you've got everywhere, it's less of an issue. It's not like they're playing in the mud at Newlands. So I think Grant he deserves a start. Whether the Boks are going to play the game that they played last week, which would actually accentuate his what he brings to the table, I don't know. But yeah, I'm glad to see him out there.
But you say he deserves a start. The game is
that's not a good way.
No, the game is a 23-player game. Okay, some players are better suited to close out a game. Some provide wonderful impact off the bench. Now, I take someone like Anton Leonard-Brown. To me, he provides absolutely no impact off the bench. You either start with him or you don't put him in the 23.
Yes.
I know he may be a bit versatile in playing, inside centre, outside centre. He's way too slow to stick him on the wing these days. But Graham Williams, for me, is a wonderful athlete. He's the perfect bench player that he can come on, change a game. You can play him on the wing if there's an injury. He's probably one of the fastest in the world rugby. We saw that in the World Cup when he was outstanding against Romania. And I believe we have a couple of followers in Romania. So to our followers in Romania, we just want to say hello.
Bonjour.
I know. That's why he remains here.
Ooh, dad jokes.
Yeah, it's a Thursday, and the jokes are going to be as stale as those bench announcements this morning. I was so disappointed. I really wanted that 7-1 split. I wanted a 7-1 split, but I also get with our lock injuries and that, we don't quite have that cattle on the field, but I wanted to see 6 go on at the same time again. Everyone quiver, everyone shake, and then say to New Zealand, I don't care how good your backs are. How do you play now without a pack of forwards?
Yes. I think if you look at the New Zealand team that they've chosen, and we'll get into that later, it looks like they're going to try and win this thing in the second half through the experience of some of their sort of more illustrious campaigners. But like you said, it all comes down to the cattle that starts. Selection of Wallace Satiti there bodes well for New Zealand.
But again, a guy like Paranara, and we're going to jump around between the two squads,
yes.
the Springboks and the All Blacks. Paranara.
Oh, I like it.
It's like a name.
I love it. Somebody's going to comment, it's actually Paranara.
It's Paranara. TJ.
Yeah.
Now, he starts to me or he doesn't, like, you don't bring him off the bench.
Totally. Once you get to a certain age and a certain level of experience, it's unlikely you're going to provide that athletic injection that's going to alter the game. And my thinking is this: if your experience is so good that you can come off the bench and change the game, then surely you would be starting. The reason you don't start a guy who's exclusively an athletic impact player is because the game is generally slower and tighter and more confrontational at the beginning. At the end, when there are some tired legs, then you bring on the athleticism and there's that one-on-one matchup advantage. But with experience, if there's a guy who's so good that you can have him on the bench, he comes on in the second half and wins it for you with his experience, why wouldn't you start him so that you're winning the game?
Why wouldn't you start him at 10 for the All Blacks and stick him on the bench for an hour?
Mate,
Bodie Barrett.
I think Leon McDonald was a cry for help, mate. He wanted Bowden at 10.
Could be. I mean, look, there was always that feeling that he was going to drop him to the bench. I was quite surprised at his rationale. You really need your experienced boys on the field to close out the game.
Totally.
We'll have them on from the first minute to close out the game. And again, I don't know what they gained by putting Will Jordan at 15, Bowden Barrett on the bench, and Severusing on the wing. Clark is not available. But it's, to me, their midfield is their problem, and it remains their problem. Two very good individual players, Rico at 13 and Jordy at 12. But as a combination, especially with McKenzie on the inside, I can't see them breaking us down sufficiently to beat us with that. I mean, it's very good individual players. They cut us to pieces at times, beat the rush defense, but also beat a disjointed rush defense given the injuries that we had and kind of like some of the changes we have made at Johannesburg. The thing of the Johannesburg test, 31-27, kicking for goal to go 34-27, bearing in mind we were down for large parts of that game, down 27-17. I said the Boks would win comfortably, and to me, a 1-point winner against the All Blacks is a comfortable win.
Spot on.
Historically, and in the last 10 minutes of that test, there was only one team that was going to win it. It wasn't going to be New Zealand. So it was a comfortable win. Comfortable again this Saturday?
I think the scoreline is going to be more comfortable. I don't think it's going to be as close.
You told me the All Blacks were going to win, mate.
No, mate. That was off air, obviously. No. I think the Boks are going to win, and I think the scoreline is going to be bigger. I'm not sure whether I'm interested to see how this game plays out. I think the Boks are going to come out and revert to Bok rugby. I think they're going to be direct. I think they're going to be physical. I think Andre is going to pass twice in this game. The rest of the time, he's taking it route one. I think Dukes is going to be back to doing what Dukes does. I think Jesse's going to be in the mix in that. And I think Rico and Jordy are going to spend a lot of the game tackling on the other side of the halfway line.
We spoke about this when the Boks went to their... no, it's certainly the one that's not their spiritual home. Durban. Terrible record there. And they lost to Ireland. And they played more direct. They played more like the traditional Boks did, and they got beaten. They got beaten by two magnificent drop goals in the last 4 minutes. And all that really counts at the end of a test match is the W. Do you win it or not? So the Boks go back and they play more direct rugby. There's a good chance they may lose.
No, so in that game, what happened was the Boks came out and they got punched in the face by Ireland, who were way more up for it. The Boks settled back into that thing that they did at Nelspruit against the All Blacks a couple of years ago, where they felt sorry for the team that they beat. So they had to recover, and they did it great through game management, Andre kicking the points. But at the end, they had a chance to win that game, and they took that scrum wide, and they tried to play a wide game and got tackled into touch, when all they needed to do was go direct, keep it narrow, win a penalty, and kick it for the win. So, I think the game plan was way more on point there. The fact that they clawed their way back into that game after getting beaten up in the first half was encouraging. I think that's how those tactics work. It is slow poison. That's why you pick a guy like Jasper Wiese to just bash and bash and bash until the other team is just too sore and too timid to make tackles anymore.
Do you see a lot more kicking or less kicking than you saw in Ellis Park? The stat there was that we kicked 32 times and we won it back 6 times. They kicked 28 times and won it back twice.
Yeah, I think we probably see a little bit less kicking in terms of the volume of kicks. But I think the game is also going to be a bit slower this week than it was last week. I think it's going to be more ponderous from the Boks. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I just mean we're going to back our power over our speed.
Okay, looking at the setup, and look, again, I'm surprised Rassie has gone with a 5-3. He's obviously got his reasons. He's won the World Cup back-to-back, as so many people remind us. So he should not be questioning Rassie. But we tend to do it, because I know Rassie enjoys it.
We're in the habit of it.
He enjoys all kinds of debate. Everyone must have an opinion. But I felt that just given where we saw the vulnerability of that All Black pack in the last 15 minutes, that he would say the formula's there. It's 7-1 or it's 6-2, because we do get them there. The minute it's a 5-3 split, it's like we kind of bring them back into the 80-minute equation. And then I look at our bench, and For me, Hendrickse I would have started him, brought Grant Williams off the bench. Or I would have played Grant Williams as the only back, basically, because we are so multifaceted in terms of where our guys can play in the back line. I know they want to give Lekanya some game time, but then start him. Give him the 80 minutes. It seems to be a luxury to have him on the bench and a Jesse Creel and a Damien Delandi starting, where you could have that extra forward.
Yeah, and I think that gives us some insight into what some of the objectives in this game are, right? So if this was the World Cup final, you and I would probably have Makazole on the wing, not Kane and Moody. We'd go with the heavy bench, and we wouldn't be picking guys that haven't played any rugby for the Boks for some time. But clearly Rassie's he's thinking ahead now about how he wants to bring guys into the fold. Lucanio hasn't played. Jaden Hendrickse also. Kane and Moody hasn't played. So it's getting those guys back in the mix, getting them rolling again. I guess for the Argentina leg of this competition, it's not all about just winning this weekend. I assume, looking at those selections.
Look, they win this weekend, they effectively win the rugby championship, okay? Because Argentina's not going to do them home and away. I expect the combination to be very different when they play against Argentina in the final 2 test matches of the rugby championship. We know that Sia won't be there because he's undergoing an operation to ensure he doesn't look like Kwagga Smith.
Yes.
But a big ask for him to come out there with a smashed nose and actually play the All Blacks. It's such a confrontational kind of test. Also, I think shows you the mentality of maybe how much he wants it to be part of that record-breaking attempt. They win on Saturday. It's the 4th time in a row that they would have beaten the All Blacks. They've never done that in the professional age. The best is 2009 when they won 3 in a row, and then 2010 they went and they lost 3 in a row, where 2 were played in New Zealand and 1 was played in South Africa. So this team doesn't want to repeat that. We don't want to see a repeat of 2022 and a hint of what we saw in Durban. We want to see this team go out, foot on the throttle, foot on the throat, knees, elbows, everything squeezed in, and a dominant Bok performance to say we are currently 1 in the world in New Zealand. You're hovering between 3, 4, and 5 at the moment. Not one of those games that pulls New Zealand back in it. Because if New Zealand got a win, they would leave thinking all objectives met. We got the Wallabies with 2 tests, and they fly into that end-of-year tour. And as Sir John Kerwin said, you're only as good as your last try. This is the measurement of this team for me, is that we've got to put them away. If you're number 1 in the world, you're back-to-back world champions, you're playing at home, you've already done them at Ellis Park, you've got a very settled squad, you should be expecting to win by 10 to 12 points. If you're playing the quality of the opposition, not the history of the jersey.
But I mean, 100% on point, but just so many variables in that conversation about selections and about tactics and about short-term and long-term objectives. It's very difficult to get a read on what the Boks are trying to do every week, and I keep saying it. I'm getting bored of saying it.
Are you being negative again?
I'm not being negative. I'm just saying you don't really know what are they trying to achieve in these games. You know, in the old times we were a lot less intelligent in Springbok rugby, but also a lot more predictable. You didn't have to think too hard about what the coach was thinking because generally we had coaches who didn't think. So you kind of knew what the Boks were about. We're going out to win. Every time we play, we must win. This guy is a different...
Whose accent was that?
I don't know. Choose somebody.
Tutti.
Yeah. So you don't really know where they, you know, Rassie does this. He kind of gambles in the short term for long-term reward. So playing a guy like Jaden, bringing these guys who are a little bit icy cold back into the mix against major opponents is a bit of a risk, but it's also a massive opportunity for those guys to stake their claim again. For Willie, who he retired last week, is now back as the starter. You know, he keeps everyone on their toes in that Boks squad. So there's always something to play for.
Look, we joked earlier in the week that he may make 6, 8, 10 changes again. He's resisted that. He's been very selective in terms of who he's picked, though. And when I say selective, some could say conservative, because he's also ensured he's got his pack there.
Yeah.
Roanoke here came through nicely. That has allowed him to start with Peter Steph Tutoy and sacrifice a BJ Dixon. Also go without the scavenger on the ground, Marco van Staden. But he's got that front row, that beast mode front row that can just come on at once and replace a particularly good starting front row. We saw Eben was outstanding when he came on in the last... played for more than an hour. Well, just under an hour, yeah. And then the halfbacks, Grant Williams is then gone with the experience of Andre Pollard there, but knowing that Jaden can come on and Sasha can come on and possibly play 15, possibly play 10. And you may find him the last 20 minutes of the game. It is Sasha at 15 to see how he goes with Andre staying at 10, depending on the flow of the game and obviously the scoreline. Would you have liked to have seen more changes?
No, I wouldn't have liked to have seen more changes. I quite like what they've done there. Both of these teams. I think this All Blacks team is definitely better than the one they picked last week. Very keen to see the 21-year-old Satithi come out and bang. Let's see what he can do. I'm interested to see how Grant goes and how the All Blacks respond to having Grant Williams there. I wouldn't be surprised if you see D-Mac on the right side of the halfway line just drop a little chip kick for his 6'5" inside centre to chase with our little 9 on the sweep there. I'm interested to see how because Grant Williams in the kicking game, if you give him a little bit of space, that oak has got wheels. He is rapid. So he can disappear. I mean, you give that guy half a gap, he's gone. And I think him in that sort of environment, as much as teams will say, okay, well, let's try and target this guy in terms of his stature with some of our bigger outside backs, if he gets a sniff, he's gone. So I think it's quite an interesting dynamic there.
If you look at how they unlocked our defence at times, and also the way they started Ellis Park, they started well, we started poorly. It's as if we were saying, throw everything at us, and let's see how much reward you can get from it. How essential, Colby spoke earlier in the week about the start for the Springboks. How essential is it for us to get a good start, build some scoreboard pressure, and let them start chasing the game?
Yeah, Boks are always in a situation where they are better leading than chasing. So absolutely. I think what the Boks have got into a habit of doing is they come out with these leg tackles in the first 20 minutes of games. Teams get gain line, and then finally the Boks go, you know what, we actually don't care about yellow cards and penalties. We're just going to tackle properly again. And then they go upstairs, they bang, and they restore parity at the gain line. So I think if the Boks just come out with that fire to start with, they'll be fine. And I think the intensity is definitely going to be there because, you know, there's a reason there's this history that the Boks haven't beaten the All Blacks more than 4 times in a row, or 4 times in a row for 70 years or whatever it is. There's a lot of history on the line. We're back in Cape Town. First time in Cape Town for some time. Massive home support for the All Blacks. There's a lot of stuff brewing there. So I think everyone's going to be keyed in and on point.
And is that why you said to me before we started, you're picking an All Black win? Yeah. And a comfortable one, you said.
I said by 20.
No, you said by 12. So let's kind of like just keep it real. You said by 12, and I said it's a fair call. It's a fair call for a guy who's wearing black underpants with a little fern on it. But if you looked at the Ellis Park Test match, the thing that surprised me the most was we know how fragile New Zealand's line-out can be. The minute they lose 1 or 2 lineouts, they do tend to fall apart. They don't have a dart specialist coming off the bench wearing a number 16 jersey either. Very robust player, great leg drive, but certainly not someone you're going to bank your life on to hit a number 2 jumper, let alone someone at the tail. But we never contested their lineouts for the first part of an hour, and it kind of gave them rhythm because if their lineout is functioning and their set piece is stable, they believe they can play. When you've seen the All Black team struggle the most is when they get disrupted. They don't get that kind of first phase foundation. And when they do get rhythm, they're a brilliant side to watch. I mean, they've got such wonderfully skilled backs. But we want to disrupt them. We didn't do that in the first 40 at Ellis Park.
I suppose we were anticipating they were going to maul. With Jason Ryan in the mix there now, I suppose we thought they were going to be more, and I mean, they did more. They scored a great try for more. So I suppose they earned some respect there, and we kind of said, okay, whoa, let's not contest. Let's be ready for this maul setup. And
well, there was double banking on that maul. If you want to know what double banking is, go to Zels' coaching blog, and he'll tell you about it.
Yeah.
But that would have been something that hurt the Boks.
What hurt the Boks was that we gave these guys turnover possession to score from. By playing Tony ball, the errors mounted. They jumped on those turnovers. Hands against a scrambling defence, and they scored. Our scramble defence could have been better, but I don't think structurally we have any defensive issues. It's the positions that our defence gets put in by the attack that we're experimenting with. Those 4-man lineouts again take our maul out of the game. Questionable.
The maul, the defence of their driving maul and the comfort with which they scored it. Yes, it shouldn't have been a try, but they were on their way to scoring even before the double banking. They would have taken huge heart from that. Would there have been a big focus on that this week within the Boks setup, do you think, or do you think it's one of those things that they felt if there wasn't the double banking, it shouldn't have been a try?
Yeah, I think that's very much the case. And I don't know, maybe the Boks, maybe they changed their tactic there to something that's more sort of a counter shove than trying to go for the sack. I don't know. I don't think that sort of isolated call will change how they think about their defence against New Zealand.
What you say you don't quite know what to expect from the Boks in terms of their approach and how they're going to play. What would you want to see from the Boks? You spoke about more direct,
yes.
kind of lower error rate.
Yes.
But when you say more direct, it doesn't necessarily mean boring.
No. Where's it boring? Were we boring when we won the last World Cup or the one before that? Or any of those wins along the way? You guys all love Cheslin Kolbe. When did he come through? Under which coach? This coach. Playing what rugby? So, Bok rugby is not boring. Bok rugby is just chronologically logical. You smash them up front to create the momentum in the space, and then you give it to the nano backs to finish in the corner. It's 101. It's not boring. It's great.
Pollard coming back at 10. World Cup hero. Ice in the veins. Balls of steel. And rightly so, the euphoria around Sasha, but it's like Andre Pollard's been forgotten very quickly. Will this be a reminder of just the class of the player, of how good he is? Or is he going to be, for the next year, a guy who's always getting a 6 out of 10 because he's not Sasha?
No, look, I think if Andre can walk, he's going to the next World Cup, and he's earned and deserves all the respect he got. If anything, that last World Cup showed the quality that we left out of that squad for who knows what reason. That guy saved our asses at the 2023 World Cup. Fantastic player, blue chip player. We're all hoping that Sasha's going to reach the heights and the standards set by Andre. And certainly, I mean, that is the Oak who owns the 10 jersey at the moment. Whether Sasha's been starting or not, that's a different story. And a fantastic guy to be there to bring Sasha through. And interestingly, I think if he scores 9 points, Andre overtakes Morné Steyn for second on the all-time scorers list, the Springboks scorers list. So I mean, this Oak is legit.
And if he continues going, I mean, it's a good chance of threatening Percy Montgomery's record. And what people don't realize about Monty as well, he played 102 tests, but for a good 40 of them, he didn't kick. Yanni de Beer was the kicker. There were several other kickers. So it was only really in that tail end, that last 52 tests that he played. When he came back, he was on 50 under Jake White, that he was primarily the kicker, and he kicked it close to 80-85% all the time.
Legend.
But
what a lot of people don't know about Percy, a little factoid, is no Springbok in the history of rugby has saved more Dolphins than Percy Montgomery.
And that's
a fact.
And that's how many?
One.
And what people don't realize also, the late Chester Williams, Plettenberg Bay, Springbok Camp, 1999 World Cup, he also saved Chester. They were out doing a water exercise, and you could see Chester was in a spot of bother. I happened to write Chester's life story at the time, and there's a big part in one of the chapters dedicated to that, how he says everyone thought he was joking, but he felt he was drowning. And who should come to the rescue?
No ways.
SA water polo,
Are you serious?
great swimmer, open mile swimmer, Monty.
We need to get him an SA Rugby Mag themed tangerine speedo, like the Hoff.
No. He would like that.
Hey?
He'd
One
like
of those
that.
boys, but filled with tequila.
Yeah, he would like that, yeah.
Hey?
As long as he can have the tequila on the way in and the tequila on the way out.
Listen, for reals though, here's a nice stat for you. Percy scored 893 points for the Springboks, and the Bok team this week has 893 caps. What does it mean?
It means victory. It means it's world champion, number one in the world, record breakers.
Mate!
That's what it means.
Mate!
He is the record breaker. At one stage, he had 94 Springbok records, Monty. 893, number 15. Wow. It's a tribute to the first ever Bok Test Centurion.
Here we go.
It's all pointing to a green and gold day. So now, are you still saying All Blacks by 12?
I have always said the Boks are going to win this game.
No, you said the All Blacks are going to win it
that's
before we
taking
came
a
in.
piss.
Were you just kind of just whining me there?
I was just...
You want to make me angry?
Just riling you up, mate.
Hey?
Warming you up for the show.
Give me the raw.
There's no rule.
Give me the raw.
No, mate. I don't even know what the Pumas are doing.
They lost in the last minute against
I
Australia.
cannot believe we lost to those Australians at home in the rain. Augustine Creevy must be spinning in his grave, but he's not dead yet, so he's okay with it. But this week, we go again against the Wallabies. We will never let them win again. And in South Africa, the Springboks take it all back to back for a fourth successive win against the All Blacks. Enjoy it.
Thanks. Poor Creevy as well. He came in with 8 minutes to play.
Oh.
the Pumas should have wrapped that game up. They had a 17-16, and they had a penalty just to kick to the corner in hectic rain to just fall over basically and get the match-winning try. They kicked the points, put themselves under pressure for the last 4 minutes, and conceded a last-minute penalty.
Well, what a way to go out, though, man. He obviously timed it like he thought, no, we'll beat the Wallabies at home. That'll be my last test. Sorry for you.
I'll be coming back against South Africa. At least he got the win against New Zealand in New Zealand. Capped a fine career, over 100 test matches. Great servant of the game.
All jokes aside, Creevy was the real deal. Great freaking player. Loved him in his prime. Jaguares.
He looked like a good guy, man.
Yeah, he looked like a great guy.
Apparently so. But I can't see Australia winning that second one. I'm sure the Pumas will win it and sets up nicely for our little trip over there and then for their return trip where we kind of officially get given the trophy. Because it is going to be South Africa's rugby championship year, and it's the one thing that this team hasn't done. We won a shortened version of the rugby championship in a World Cup year where we only played 3 games.
It's only pretend, mate.
It's only pretend. 2 wins and a draw. Now it's like go and win it when you play 6 games.
Exactly.
We'll be 4 from 4 on Saturday if we play with a bit of kop, a bit of gees,
Right, we will be 4 from
and
4.
intelligence. Because I look at this Boks 23 again, and on balance, they should not lose at home. So I was wearing the Boks by 10 T-shirt my good mate here, Zels, gave me. A lot of people want to know where does this Boks by 10 come from. So it came from in the days where the All Blacks were smashing us. They were smashing us 57-0. They were smashing us 57-15.
The olden days.
The 46-20-25. The 45-7. The just 28-0s. And I was having a discussion with a couple of fervent South African supporters. And when we lost in Durban, the guys were like, go easy on these guys tomorrow. This doesn't really happen often. I said, what do you mean it doesn't happen often? The 57-15. No, us losing to those guys from New Zealand. I'm like, but we lose to them pretty much. Yeah, I said at that stage, I think we'd won 13 out of 49. And when I told this guy this, and he's like, jeez, I can't believe that. I thought we actually beat these Oaks. So I said, what's going to happen when we go to New Zealand? He said, no, Boks by 10. So it doesn't matter what you say to a passionate South African supporter.
Yes.
It's quickly forgotten. And it's Boks by 10. So that's the history behind Boks by 10. But I do appreciate all the comments that came in. People even went and did the statistics and said only 5 times have the Boks won by 10, etc., etc., etc. It's kind of, it's a bit of humor.
How dare you?
It's not a statistical
Trying
fact.
to be funny, eh?
It's a bit of humor. So I don't think it will be Boks by 10 this weekend. I think it will be Boks by more.
Love it.
Imagine if it was Boks by 15.
Ooh,
Monty.
mate.
Wearing the 15.
Mate, beautiful
legend,
mind. Beautiful
102
mind.
test matches, 893 points, 893 test caps. That could be why they said to Marco, off, you up the tally.
Exactly. Yeah. So we got to make this work, guys. Ruan, you playing.
Mapimpi or Moody. 893, Moody, you're in. I'm happy that Cannon's in.
Yes, I love Kane and Moody. Yes, I love that oak.
And came on the scene brilliantly. That wonderful try in Sydney against Australia, 24-8 the result to us. The way he just AFL type, leapt, took it and took off. And then the try that wasn't a try at Twickenham, him playing in the number 13 jersey, he scored one of the classic 50-meter tries, glided through that New Zealand defence, only to be called back for some weird seventh phase infringement back near the Boks try line.
He
But
didn't write his name on his maths paper in grade 6.
yeah, so it was. He's a wonderful, wonderful rugby player.
Yeah.
21 years old or 22 years old now. We know what Mapimpi can do. He's burning it up in the Curry Cup. 4 tries on the weekend. Looked like a giant.
First time he scored a try without Lekanya on the field.
Exactly. Well, Lakanya Arm's now going to be the creator for Kane and Moody. How do you see that playing out? Do you see them bringing Lakanya Arm on for Damien or for Jesse? Or if there's no injuries, where do you see him slotting in?
That's a good question. I would like to see him more at 12 because I think he's a guy who can definitely back up there and probably needs more game time. For me, when he's on form, he's the best 13 in the world. How many tests he's got left in him is debatable, but I would love to have a guy with that experience and that nous over the ball closer to it. So I think he's a guy who could definitely fill in for Dukes, and I'd be very comfortable having there. And Jesse is on fire at the moment, so you don't really want to destabilize that in any way.
So everyone talking about the Boks blitz defense, and you've got to sacrifice something with Tony Ball, Tony Brown, more attacking mindset, Jacques Nienaber not being there, and Jacques Nienaber working so perfectly in tandem with Felix Jones. One's coaching Leinster, the other one was coaching England, and we saw immediate impact of Felix Jones in terms of the way the English defended. They looked like an emerging Springbok team in terms of their
pace, some might say.
Exactly, and they did it particularly well, and they troubled New Zealand with that. Any chance of Felix Jones starting to head whack with the oars to South Africa?
Oh, mate, I don't know.
I would want him back. You're not convinced?
I wouldn't want Felix Jones to come back to South Africa. Why?
Why not?
What for?
Well, I'd like Felix back. I'd also like Jacques Nino back.
I'll take Jacques, mate. Jacques can come home anytime.
What was your thing about when you watched Chasing the Sun with Felix Jones and Jacques and Rassie and that, and you felt that there's something that just doesn't add
was
up?
Hilarious. They showed you the change room. It's like half time now. The Oaks are in there. They're sweating. They're tired. And everyone's going to have their piece now. The Oaks are all sitting around there. Felix Jones walks in and he goes like, "Hey, no, that's actually a Scottish accent." But he's like, "Okay, chaps, we're a little bit slow on second phase. We need faster ball. You've got to get over it over there. We need to reset and get our alignment and our distribution right. We'd like to push up a bit stronger with the blitz on the outside and just make this thing look a little bit cleaner. If you understand, we need more of the milkshake call in the 7th channel." And everyone's just looking at him, and there's an awkward silence. And then Rassie walks in and goes, "Okay, guys." Now, was it Rassie or Jacques?
Jacques.
It was Jacques. Jacques walks in and goes, "Okay, guys, now I just need you to be physical. Get physical with them, take them on, push them around, and just take over the game." And everybody was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, cool, we've got that." Now,
that was a polite way of saying what he
really
said to them, yeah.
But to my mind, one of those coaches is not talking to the players, because the players that understand anything that Felix Jones has said now would not respond to what Jacques said. And my gut feeling is that maybe the players understand what Jacques said. If you watch Dricker's fight, it kind of talks to that South African mentality. You don't come in with the technical stuff and, 0.7, 0.2 on the defense chart.
He's Murum.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
That's how to take him out, eh? Reminds me of when Harry Viljoen took over the Boks in 2000 and we were in Buenos Aires. And he had like many, many coaches in there, and everything was about momentum, mismatches. Ian Mack was there. A lot of coaches. Had Barry Honan was an Australian in there. Had Steve Harris was a life skills coach, and Mac's big thing was, and Andre Markov was on that tour as well. It was a great tour. We were in Buenos Aires for the best part of 15
group of gentlemen.
15 days, and I was there as well. Me, Marquis, and Ian Mack. I mean, it was glory days.
Wow.
Sitting in those team meetings. At one stage, they were quite surprised at the knowledge I had, and I said I got it from a place called Google.
What out of that?
Who does he play for? Greek was. But Mac was all about momentum mismatches. Like, you want your 15 to run on your 1. You want your 13 to be running at a blindside lock that doesn't want to move. And like, the great coaches of those years also always said it's a very simple game. It's basically a murum voor, then you play. And in any case, but Harry was new age. I mean, he was 20 years ahead of his time in what he wanted to do with the team and the kind of analysis that he did. And and Steve Harris was presenting PowerPoint presentations to the players, okay? And the wonderful Yapi Mulder was at the back, and Yapi at that stage basically had his nuts out, okay? And had kind of...
and they weren't almonds.
No, had worked him to position, looked like a brain, okay? And he was basically just working these nuts of his while Steve Harris was talking, and the players were just looking at this, and we were just laughing. I mean, this was so funny. And Harry's like, "What's so funny, Yapi?" And he says, "Nothing, he's just working his brain, okay?" He bok brain, as he called it, as he's like nursing them. And every time he'd say, do something on the PowerPoint, it would go like, "And you need momentum." And this rugby ball come out of the PowerPoint that it needs mismatches. It needs us. It needs to keep the ball. Yapi that's working this thing like this, and he's like, but senior Yapi says, extend the fire rugby ball. And Yapi was a classic case of Aizmuch Murum.
Oh,
he had a wonderful. We played against on that tour. We played against Wales, and to make sure that Yapi was fit for the Wales test, Harry wanted him to play against Wales A on the Wednesday or the Tuesday or Wednesday night in Cardiff. And Stephen Jones, who went on to play 100 test matches for Wales, a fly-off, he was coming back from injury. He was playing for Wales A. And Yapi just smashed this guy for the best part of 60 minutes until we took him off because he had to just get through 60 minutes. And a couple of years later, I was no longer with the Boks, and I was on tour, and I was interviewing Stephen Jones about where they were playing the Springboks, and we got back to that game, and he said to me in this wonderful Welsh accent, he doesn't know if I recall that game, but he got hit a lot off the ball. He got hit a lot off the ball by the South African centre called Japie Mulder. And he couldn't quite understand it because he didn't know what he had done to Japie.
Yeah.
And I said, no, mate. He told everyone he just didn't like your face.
Japie was a simple oak.
Japie just sy gesig het vir my geïrriteer. Hè? Hy sê toe ek sy gesig sien, wil ek net fietsry. Ek wil hom net trap.
So when you consider that in the light of Felix Jones's dissertation to these players at halftime, you can imagine it probably didn't land very well.
Yeah, 45 degrees. What is 45
Mate,
degrees?
that tail,
Let's try and measure it out.
I think you've just shattered the mystique around the Springbok mindset.
But I mean, if it works for you.
Totally.
And Laurie Mains was always, and Sean Fitzpatrick, that very good All Black side that went from 95 into 96 that John Hart coached. And John Hart also tried to bring a lot more sophistication, business type approach. But they would always say it's a very simple game, actually. And the simplicity of it is you always have to dominate up front, dominate the collisions, and then you have a halfback pairing. So if you're either playing off 9, or if you have a very good general at 10, at Dan Carter, Andrew Mertens, Joel Stransky type 10, Andre Pollard 10, then you play field position. You play the percentages and you build scoreboard pressure. Because it's a lot easier to be 15-3 up and then start playing than to be chasing at 15-3 down. Mm-hmm. And that's what I found happened to the Boks at Ellis Park, and at 27-17, they kicked that thing 30-17. I don't know if we quite get out of jail as comfortably because the psychology of it, 2 converted tries, makes people do some crazy things. So for this Saturday, I want to see more control, guys.
More control. We need more control.
And as hulle moeg is, moer hulle.
Exactly.
Altitude is not a factor for anyone of those that don't know. We are playing at sea level, okay? It will be very similar to kind of the conditions the Kiwi boys are used to. They're also going to enjoy the crowd. It's kind of it's laid back, man. It's Cape Town. It's not where they were. They were like taking the Alcatraz for Saturday. I think they still can't believe what that bus drive in and what happened on the way out. And it's going to be that may work to our favour. Because they're going to feel this is a sporting occasion again.
You can have Oaks in the crowd here handing them spliffs, saying, hey, just chill, man.
Yeah, just chill, man.
Take a drag of
here's an Archie. We won't even lob the Archie. We just give it to you, peel it for you as well,
Exactly.
okay? With a little bit of brandy inside. But, on the Archie comment, and we did say, we're going to give 1,000 Rand away. I know for some people it's 10p. So that's why the bank transfer would cost me more than the actual value for you. So we're not even looking at geographics, but if you are from the UK, then you can donate it to a charity of our choice. His name is Jean-André Joubert. And while Imad films, Jean-André produces, okay, and shares it all across social media. But we said we go through the comments and we went through all of them, and my goodness, you guys were accurate. Zels was so negative on Tuesday, so negative on Monday. And I'm glad you took him to task and said, stop being so negative, Zels. Come on, chill, man, relax.
Yeah.
But he was agitated. He was angry when he walked in. I could see that. And I think he just wanted a bit more from that Bok performance. I think he wanted a 20-pointer. It just didn't happen. But we scrolled through all the comments. We're 990 when we last looked. Nearly 1,900 likes. And 72,000 views in effectively 36 hours. So thanks to everyone who tunes in, watches us, loves the fact that we are just 2 oaks who happen to work in the profession, but also just enjoy talking about rugby.
Exactly.
And have an opinion like you have an opinion, disagree on opinions, agree on some others. But we scrolled through that, and just to pick one from 990.
So difficult.
It's absurd. Huh? So basically, Zels just darts at it. He turned around and he just put a dart into the screen, and he came up with something.
Yeah, this guy likes to eat spicy food from McDonald's, goes by the username Danger McNugget.
I like that.
And his comment was, I've got the food lover's nachi and the arm to DHL it to Paranara. Just need to be there for the same day delivery.
And he doesn't even have to hit it far because he'll be sitting on the bench.
Exactly. I thought that was quite funny.
All right. So if that is you and you do watch the show again, mail me, Keo at Keo. That's KEO at keo.co.za. And please send a biography of your life as well so we know it is you.
Yeah.
And how many McNuggets do you normally order at a time?
Yeah, we can't send you to the game, but we can send you 1,000
And on that, we
bucks.
can't send you to the game. And but we could have sent you to the game because all you had to do was enter our eBets competition, which was 2 season tickets for the Stormers. That's for the whole season, watching them win the URC. And 2,500 Rand each tickets that Zels and I, courtesy of eBets, bought. And all you had to do was go onto eBets, throw down $100. What an investment to get potentially a 9K back. And 104 of you registered and only 53 of you played. So those numbers just don't add up for what the prize was. But we did have a winner. It was very scientific. As you'll see that little thing going around at the moment. And the winner is, anyone know?
Pierre Lecrancy.
Pierre Lecrancy, and he's all the way from Brackenfell in the northern suburbs of the Western Cape.
Incredible, mate.
Incredible.
What a beaut.
Incredible, eh? Northern suburbs, Brackies Oaks. And that, friends, is where Chesney and Colby went to school, Brackenfell High.
It's all coming together, mate.
It's coming together.
It's all coming
For the
together.
Boks.
It's all coming together.
Boks.
Yes.
Get in the huddle.
Ja, we in here. Wie wil geld maak?
We will geld maak. And as we said, we did want to get Tim on from Egg Chasers. Unfortunately, he couldn't. We always like to give a shout out to other podcast teammates, Rudy Page and Jean Dion, the legends. They running around every Saturday going
Fantastic,
ballistic. Give them a nice follow. Give them a nice watch. And obviously Skulk and Shimmy and Jean, they're always good value. And if he does appear somewhere, Nick Mallet, always magnificent value in terms of his insights. But primarily, come give us a visit again. Come give us a visit on Monday when we talk about how we got it right. Us and the money man and Scotty, we got it right, okay? So Zels is calling it 12 points for the All Blacks. Your score?
No. I'm calling it 8 points to the Springboks. Final score, 26-18.
Low scoring game.
Low scoring
How many
game.
tries and what minutes?
No, mate, I've got no bloody idea. But that's what I'm calling.
26-18.
26-18.
All right. I like that, but I'm going to go one better.
Ooh.
Maybe I'm going to go 3
27-18.
better. I'm saying, interesting enough, you say 27-18 because the average score in the 8 test matches between Steve Hansen and Hanneke Meyer Springboks was 27-18.
Mate.
And
not just a pretty
that
face.
included that World Cup semi-final in 2015 when it was 2018 and they were on their way to scoring near the end. We held them up, but we lost the semi-final 2018. But it would have been a 27-18. So the only thing they say that man, woman, and whoever else learns from history is that they don't learn from history. But forget history, because there is no history at the DHL Stadium between the All Blacks and the Springboks. And on Saturday, the Boks make history. They break the record 4 times in a row. They'll beat the All Blacks, and they're going to do it by 30 points to 19.
Ooh.
That's an 11-point swing.
Hot day.
Zels has them for 8. I have them for 11. We're going to be there in the stands. Tickets bought for and paid for by Zels. Thanks.